All right. Here we are. We are set up. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Thank you for tuning in. This is our Tuesday live, Tuesday midday, 11 a.m. I'll be here talking everything multifamily. So I'm really excited about that. And today is going to be a great topic because a lot of people are asking me how I built the portfolio, how I'm able to buy deals, and they think that you have to be able to start in this business that you have to have all the money, that you're loaded. And if you're anything like me, when I got started, did not have a lot of money at all, and I always bought deals that were more expensive than what I had the finances for to buy. So today we're going to be talking about how you can do that, how you can get started in your business with buying deals, even if you don't have all the money to afford them. So hot topic for today. Now, those who don't know me, my name is Jason Stubblefield. I've been investing in apartment buildings since 2016. Um, we scaled the portfolio to a little over 1,000 units by 2021, and then we started selling off some assets. So I am a full-time multifamily entrepreneur. Apartment buildings is how I eat. I am excited about that, and you are listening to this webinar where I'm going to be digging in and speaking about how you can um, grow your business, do the same thing. So let's just go ahead and start off. Let me do a little screen share. So if you go to my website, snscapitalpartners.com, that's like Sam, Nancy, Sam, capitalpartners.com, you should be able to find out a little bit more about me and about my company. So screen should be shared right now. So that's Sam, Nancy, Sam, SNS, capitalpartners.com. You can read a little bit about the company, what we've done. If you're interested in hearing about our investments, we are constantly putting out letters of intent, making offers on properties, and we buy deals. So if you want to hear about those deals, potentially invest in some of those deals, click on the Invest tab. It will bring you to this page. There's a Join Our Community button. If you click on that button, then you will be able to get put on our list. We'll have a conversation, see if we have any investments that meet your investing criteria. So that's how that can work for you. But if you just want to know a little bit more about the company, this is the website that you can do it. I have realized, okay, I'm messing around on my website, and honestly, I'll be completely honest with you, I don't go to my website that much. And then I did, and I was like, oh, my featured properties aren't showing up. So if you go here and you're not seeing our featured properties, this is where I had photos of our portfolio at. But what has happened is our webmaster, the webmaster who built the website, has vanished, and they had some plugin that no longer works. So I need to go figure out what was going on with that. And even though I've got a background in software development, I'm not going to take my time to go fix the website. Somebody just needs to fix it. But right now we're trying to figure out who's going to do that. So anyways, that was sort of a tangent. Don't know if that meant anything to you or not, but just so you know, if you go to my website, I will get that fixed and you'll be able to see. So that is that. So I'll stop the screen share now and we'll sort of get into what we want to talk about. So with this, if you were to, if someone were to tell you that they would give you $1 million property, someone is going to give you $1 million property, and they said, you can have this property, I'm just going to give it to you, however we owe the back taxes on it, and because we owe back taxes on this property, we need you to pay those back taxes in the amount of $10,000. So if you had the opportunity to buy $1 million property for $10,000, would you do it, or how would you do it? And so if you start brainstorming through ideas like, oh my God, I'm going to have this $1 million home, I need to come up with $10,000. That mindset is the exact same mindset that you have when you go out to buy apartment complexes. You say, hey, I've got a great apartment complex deal that I really need to buy, but I don't have the capital for it. So how can I brainstorm ideas about how to get it? And so the first thing that you have to do is you have to be knowledgeable. So in our scenario where we talked about the $1 million house, before you went out and actually got the $10,000 to acquire it, you would probably want to do some due diligence, right? Am I really going to get the $1 million house? Am I certain that it's $1 million? Is this real? And once you felt confident about that, once you completely understood the value that was there for you, then it will become unquestionable about whether you should go out and get $10,000 to take possession of $1 million home. You may tell somebody, I need to borrow $10,000. And you may say, hey, I'll give you 10% on that $10,000 if you will loan me the $10,000 for me to go secure this house. Right. So it becomes quite obvious in a scenario like that, hey, you're going to go find that money, because doing so is going to be a win-win for you. And it's going to be a win for anybody who assists in helping you acquire that $1 million home. So maybe $1,000 doesn't get it. You may say, I'll give you $20,000, right? You would basically be able to look at that person who would help you obtain that asset, and you say, what do I have to give them, or what can I give them in order to have them assist me? And that's what I've been able to do in my career. And what most apartment syndicators do is they find strategic alliances with other investors. And by doing that, the investors win because they're able to get a return on their money. And the operator of the apartment complex wins because they're able to buy a valuable asset. So just being able to get your head wrapped around brainstorming that idea is what we do in what you call a apartment syndication. So once you understand how deals work and you understand the potential value that this investment can make, now it is your duty to go out and share that knowledge with other people who would be interested in investing in something like that. So now is probably one of the best times to be able to try to raise capital. And you may say, well, Jason, interest rates have gone up. The market seems to be very unstable through this time. We don't know what's going to happen. And I just take a different approach to all that. What I feel like is that because the values are so high and that interest rates are rising, now you have a large number of people who have capital, but do not have any place to put that capital. So if you are looking to take $25,000 or $50,000 of your money and say, I want to go put this in real estate, where are you going to put the money? Where are you going to be able to take $50,000 and buy something? You have average sales prices of homes being at $300,000 and north in a lot of markets. Combined with that, even if you bought the $300,000 property or the 250 or whatever it is, it's very hard to cash flow those properties because you cannot get the 1% rule. And if those aren't familiar, there is a 1% rule that says you want to have about 1% of the income of the purchase price. 1% of that purchase price, you want that property to generate through rental income. And that is what a lot of people use to go out and buy real estate with. But that rule is no longer in existence. People have been calling the 75% rule and the 0.75% rule and even the 0.5% rule. And you got people who are out in California who just aren't looking for cash flow at all. They're just like, hey, let me buy something, and then hopefully if I hold on to it for 2 or 3 or 5 years, it's worth more. There's no cash flow in that at all. And so the reason I mentioned that and why this is a great time for you to be having conversations with people about raising capital is because if you go out and you can articulate what you can do in apartment buildings, you will find that there are people who would be delighted to know you, delighted to work with you, and delighted to invest with you because you are offering them something that they cannot find elsewhere. So just know that this is relatively easy if you can articulate it well. The benefits of multifamily are so prevalent that anyone can pick up on it. It's not a very hard sell. You tell someone, hey, you buy a single family home and you have to worry about that tenant moving out, and all of a sudden you're 100% vacant. You have to pay the bills yourself. You say, hey, if you invest in me in this 20 unit, we got 20 people there to contribute to this mortgage and expenses. And if one of them moves out, we're not that worried about it. Right. And so you have cash flow, you've got appreciation, you've got tax savings, and you've got a lot of logic that just naturally come with multifamily if you can articulate that. And so what you want to do is you want to start talking to everybody, telling them that you are an apartment investor. Long before I was a full-time apartment investor, I spent my time telling people, hey, I'm an apartment investor. Even though I wasn't full-time, I still worked a W-2 job as a software developer, but I would meet somebody out somewhere and they say, what do you do? I would say, oh, I buy apartments. That was the first thing that I told them, instead of, oh, I am a software developer who's got this real estate thing going on the side. No, in my mind, I was already a full-time real estate entrepreneur, and I was doing my W-2 job on the side. So when I talked with somebody, I would tell them that. But the benefit of that was that they would then ask questions about it if they were interested. Oh, how does that work? Or what are you doing? And then that's a great opportunity for me to roll right into, well, I buy large apartment complexes, and we do that with the participation of other investors. So if you want to make money completely passively, then that's what you can do. And people say, oh, that's pretty interesting. You exchange phone numbers. And that's really how easy it is for you to start conversations with people about raising money. Now, once you get more involved, obviously you want to establish a track record. You want to make sure that you are generating returns for your investors. That's how you're going to stay into the business. But just positioning yourself as an apartment owner will allow a lot of those conversations to happen relatively quickly and easily for you. So if you are going to buy an apartment complex that you don't have the money for, you need to understand how deals work and know how to put them together. And then you also want to make sure that you are building a thought leadership platform. So Jason, what do you mean by a thought leadership platform? You want to have a system set up by which you can present yourself to others and what you do. And so with doing that, I started off with a local meetup. So when I was living in the DC Metro, I started a monthly meetup. And what this did is it allowed me to have people congregate around me to talk about apartment investing. So it was a one time a month thing. And you can do a meetup, you can do a podcast, you can use your social media platform, you can start a Facebook group, you can do whatever is easy for you, but you want to generate a system by which you can talk about apartment investing, because it will attract the right people to you. And when you are looking to find money, it's better to fish than it is to hunt. And like, Jason, what do you mean by hunting and fishing? Well, if you hunt, you're taking a bullet and you're looking for the right animal, and you're going to aim in and you're going to position it. And you can probably tell how I'm talking. I don't do a lot of hunting, but anyways, you're looking for that one bullet to go through and hit your target. Whereas fishing, you're just going to take bait that is appealing, and you're going to dangle it in front of a large group of people, and those people who are interested in your bait, they will come to you. So that's what I mean by fishing versus hunting. So make sure that you are fishing, and doing this thought leadership will allow you to do that. So you build meaningful relationships with people by talking about apartment complexes. And you may be like I was saying, I don't have a lot of experience and I don't know I don't have a lot of content within me to be able to talk intelligently about apartment investing to people. And the beautiful thing about having a thought leadership platform is that you can have other people who do have the knowledge come to you. So tell somebody, hey, I want to talk to you. This is good in so many facets because it allows you to have a reason to connect with people who you otherwise would not connect with. So you can start building relationships with people who own hundreds or thousands of units. You can start talking with lenders. You can start talking with property managers, and you can bring them onto your thought leadership platform. It's a win-win because you get to talk to a group of people about apartment investing, but the other person gets to share what they do. And so by doing that, you can become a person who is well known in the apartment industry just by having conversations with other people who know the apartment industry. So you can take your network of basically nothing and be able to build it in two different ways. One, connecting with people who are actually valuable for you to connect with, and then two, being able to attract people to you who are also interested in the same thing you are. You may not know, and some of you should, but I host a monthly meetup still to this day. And so in my monthly meetup, that's exactly what I do. I bring people into my fold. We have a once a month, and there'll be, anywhere from 15 to 30 people that show up every month, all around some specific topic. And that is my thought leadership platform. So you want to be able to build something like that. Do whatever is easy for you. If it's writing a blog, write a blog. If it's podcast, if it's YouTube channel, if it's Instagram, whatever it is, but just make it easy so that you can do it consistently. All right, so those are methods by which you can start attracting people to you to build money and put them in your network. Once you do that, a syndication is really just pooling a group of money together. So if you think about every time you've ridden on an airplane, you've been involved in a syndication. So you say, I want to go to Jamaica, and you get on an airline. What's happening? Well, a lot of other people that want to go to Jamaica have decided to put their money together to afford a plane and a pilot to get them to a destination. This is the same thing that happens in a syndication. It is a group of people putting money together because they want to have some destination or some outcome. And that outcome is going to be an increase in their revenue. So when you do this, you're going to structure your deals in a method where you're going to have general partners, and you're also going to have limited partners. So continuing in our analogy of the airplane, right? You have the general partners. Think of the general partnership as the pilot, the stewardess, the maintenance crew, everyone who is making sure that that airplane gets to its destination. That is the general partnership. The limited partnership, or what you will hear referred to as LP, those are people who just want to enjoy the ride, right? They pay their money and they say, take me to Jamaica. In the multifamily space or the syndication space, they give you money and they say, get me a return on it. So they go off, they live their life. They're not worried about anything, where everyone else who's on that plane, the pilot's focused on flying, the stewardess is focused on making sure people are comfortable and serving them. The techs are making sure that there's nothing technically wrong with the aircraft. That is going to be you in the beginning. And you are sharing this information with other people who want that return. So you're able to tell them, hey, only thing you have to do is get a $25,000 check, and me and my team are going to make sure that you get a return on that. And while I'm there, let me also say this. So we're talking about raising money. Your first obligation, and the most important obligation you have, is to your customers. And your customers are those investors, those people who believed in you. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be coworkers, it could be strangers, right? In my experience, a lot of people who invested with me were strangers. They did not know me because I don't come from a family that has a lot of money. I don't come from friends and a network of people that had a lot of money. So a lot of the people who invest in my deals were people who did not know me. No matter who it is, whether it is your mama or whether it is a complete stranger, you need to treat their money better than you would your own. Your first obligation is to those investors. And I just want to get that through to you. I want you to definitely understand that, because if you build your business that way, if you are able to really embrace that as a principle in your life, I'm going to do more for them than they are actually doing for me, you will be set in life, and you will make investors who will want to repeatedly maybe I screwed that word, repeatedly, repetitively, whatever. They're going to invest with you over and over again. And that's what you want. You want people who are going to see what you do, get a return off of it, and then do it again. But not only will they do that, once you make them a return, they'll tell other people about you. Oh, you got to see what I'm doing right now. I invested in this apartment complex. I doubled my money. I didn't have to do anything. They just cut me checks every month. That's what you want your investors to feel like. But once you do that, now you start the snowball effect, because those investors will then stick with you through your next deal, and then they'll tell other people, and you start to build more and more of an investor database, and you go from buying, maybe a 5 unit or 10 unit to going to buy 100, 150 units. So we've covered that. The last thing I want to talk about is the structure of doing this. And so that structure is, you have a 506B or Bravo, and you also have a 506C or Charlie. And when you are raising money, you are offering a security. Anytime you offer someone a return for their money without them having an active participation, you are now issuing a security in the eyes of the law. And so to do that, you have to be SEC or the Security and Exchange Commission compliant. And so to do syndication, there are two structures which you can do that. One is the 506B and the other is the 506C. So let's just talk about those and why you may choose to do either one of those. So the 506C or 506 Charlie, this is the structure by which you are talking to accredited investors only. And what this means is no one can invest in your deal except for an accredited investor. And so you may say, well, what is an accredited investor? I'll give you the brief definition. If you really want to know, there's plenty of websites that will discuss this. You just want to Google the term accredited investor, and you can get a more in-depth explanation of what it is. But briefly, to cover it, an accredited investor is someone who has a net worth of $1 million or more, excluding their primary residence. So that means they have $1 million, and that $1 million is through either their real estate holdings, or maybe they have a stock portfolio, businesses that they own, etc. Right? It's a millionaire, but the person cannot include their personal home in order to qualify for that millionaire status. And then you also have 506B, which is for accredited and sophisticated investors. And if you have any questions about that, we'll have Q&A in a minute, and drop your questions into the chat to go into detail if you're not understanding anything. But so the 506C structure says you can only talk to accredited investors, but because you're catering to people who have capital or people who are savvy investors, the SEC says you have more leniency to do that. You can run ads to those people. You can talk about it through social media platforms. You can share it screaming from the mountaintops and tell people, hey, I've got a deal. But those people who fit this criteria, those are the people I'm talking to. Now, on the other side, and how you'll get started in the beginning is in the 506B. Let me also clarify the 506c and accredited investor too before I move on. So you have the net worth requirements of an accredited investor, but you also have the income requirement. So you can be the millionaire status that I just spoke of, or you can be a have an income of $200,000 as an individual or $300,000 as a couple. So like someone who has a high earning job, they make over $200,000 a year, or a couple, and say the husband and the wife, they make $150,000 a year, and they have the expectation that they will continue to make that amount of money going forward. They are also accredited. So those are your accredited investors. And when you're doing a 506c, you are only talking to those people. You cannot take any other investor that does not fit that model. Personally, I like doing the other structure, which is a 506b. And a 506b says that you can invest with accredited and non-accredited or sophisticated investors. And so a sophisticated investor is anyone who is not an accredited investor, but they must exercise some sort of some ability to understand investments, right? So they will have to say that, hey, I understand finances, I have invested before, I know what I get into, but they're not necessarily a millionaire. And so when I got started, I did not know a lot of millionaires. I did not have a network of millionaires or accredited investors around me. So I started with the 506b, and you may want to start there too. Doing that will allow you to raise funds from friends and family and people that aren't. However, there's a stipulation, and that is that the SEC will not allow you to have more than 35 accredited investors into any deal. And so when you're raising capital, you have to be cognizant of that, because if you go out and try to raise money from people and they're only giving you $5,000 checks or $10,000 checks, and you're limited to 35 of those, you have to make sure that you can collect enough capital to put it into your deal. So if you're doing a smaller deal, and say it's 20 or 30 units, and you only need, I don't know, call it $200,000-$300,000, it may not be a big deal. But once you get into some of the larger deals, you have to start being more careful with the amount of non-accredited investors that you allow into the deal. And by doing that, you may not be able to take smaller checks. So you'll see that we'll usually have a $25,000 or $50,000 minimum on our investment. And that's sort of the logic behind it, that you want to be able to get a commitment from those people, but you also want to make sure that you can fit those 35 investors into your investment. And so it's not 35 for the lifespan of you or your company. It's just 35 investors in that specific project. You can't do any more than 35 for them. So the 506b, we will function like that. And you can have as many accredited investors in a 506b as possible. However, you cannot advertise. So that's where you have the business decision to make. You say, hey, I can tell the whole world about this deal and only accept accredited investors, or I cannot be able to advertise this deal, but I have to have an existing network, a pre-existing relationship with these people prior to showing them a deal. So you can't go put a deal under contract and then go out and start telling people about the deal. You're supposed to talk to them prior. And so that was part of the previous conversation where I was saying, hey, you want to start a thought leadership platform and start having conversations with people ahead of your deal. Once you do that, now you've got a network of people that you can pull from and be able to buy deals that you cannot afford. Then the third thing that I've done, which has been pretty significant in my life, is be able to partner with other people who have networks. And this is a way that you can truly explode your investment career. Me, I like to focus on deals. I've always focused on deals, finding deals, underwriting, and then operating those deals effectively. Now, you also have to be able to raise capital, but to do that, I like to outsource it. And one of the ways that have been instrumental in us being able to scale is just getting with other people who have existing networks or other people who have focused their attention on raising capital. And then once you form a relationship with them, they become one of the people that you are talking to about your multifamily career, your multifamily investing, where you're going to buy deals at, and they already get it because they're in the space too. You form a partnership with them, and they may have an existing network of, say, they could raise $500,000 or $1,000,000. So now you have a network that can raise $500,000. They have a network that can raise $500,000. You form a partnership, and now you can go out and buy a deal with $1,000,000 of value. So this is really way to explode your network and your syndication business by being able to partner with other people. So that's how it works in a nutshell. That's all I got for today. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat now. But if not, then we'll go ahead and move on. So again, if you want to check out more about my company, you can go to SNS, that's Sam, Nancy Sam, capitalpartners.com. If you want to hear about the deals that we do and the way that we put these deals together, the structures, I think that you will go to that website and find that we have some pretty unique opportunities coming forward. We're doing a lot in the affordable housing space now. I'm seeing deals like I have not seen in the market rate space for a while. So these deals are pretty exciting, and it's also a much lower pool of people who are interested in these deals, because people are so into the market rate deals that they really overlook some of these deals, and there's a need for the affordable housing. So my company is moving in that direction at rapid speed. And if you want to hear about those deals, how you can earn a return on your capital while simultaneously providing affordable housing to people that need it, register on that website and we'll have a conversation. That's all I got for today. Thank you for tuning in. I'll speak with you later.